Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS Week 11 NFL. We're on to Sunday. Bunch of games on the board. Had a nice college football Saturday. Real good day, actually. So bringing some positive momentum. Last few weeks have been good. Hopefully that continues. Yeah, let's talk football Sunday.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points?
I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Panthers at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly.
Dog walking.
I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. All right, we got Washington, Miami. This game's in Madrid, over in Spain. It's in Santiago I'm not even going to try it. Actually, this is where Real Madrid plays their soccer or their football games. So we had an overseas game, first ever NFL game in Spain. So yeah, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time start. I'm reading the roof will be closed. So this will be an indoor game here overseas. Washington looking to snap a pretty ugly streak here. So the Commanders have lost 4 consecutive games by 20 or more points. If they lose this game to the Dolphins by 20-plus points, they will tie an NFL record for most consecutive 20-point losses at 5. They'd be tying the 1986 Tampa Bay Bucks. So, yeah, hopefully Washington doesn't lose this one by 20-plus. They're matched up against a Dolphins team that may be sitting at 3-7, but Miami's been playing some pretty good football recently. They're actually 2-1 in their last 3, and their loss was against the Ravens, first of all. And they actually controlled the first half of that Baltimore game. They shot themselves in the foot a couple of times, and then the Ravens were clearly the better team in the second half. But Miami looked like the better team in the first half. So we're talking 3 games in a row where Miami's looked competitive, and the biggest difference is right here. Through the first 6 games of the year, Miami was looking like one of the worst defenses in the NFL, allowing 6.9 yards per play, over 55% success rate, 29 points per game. In their last 4, I mean, I'm not going to say they're a top 5 defense or anything, but in their last 4 games, the defense has been considerably better, allowing just 5.6 yards per play, under 21 points per game. So can we count on the Dolphins defense to make stops here? We look at the season-long numbers here between Washington's offense and Miami's defense, and obviously this graphic doesn't really tell the story. We know Washington is not a fringe top 10 offense, and Miami, the way they're playing, they're not really a bottom 6 or 7 defense right now. I will say, might be a little bit of a buy low spot on Washington's offense. You look at their last 3 games, just 14.3 points per game is obviously terrible. 5.6 yards per play and 49.7% success rate is actually respectable. And you look at the opponents, I mean, you got the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Lions. They played 3 really tough games in a row. And we're talking about Washington's offense. These were 3 games where they were in a huge deficit almost immediately. Washington is not an offense that's trying to drop Mariota back 40 times to pass down 2 scores. It's not really how they want to run their offense. So kind of 3 unique data points here. The offense hasn't looked nearly as bad as the final scores show, and they were also put in 3 situations where they were down huge on the scoreboard immediately. So maybe a little bit of a buy low spot on Washington's offense. I mean, the injuries are kind of tough to ignore. No Terry McLaurin, no Noah Brown, no Luke McCaffrey is now injured as well. Still no Austin Eckler, obviously no Jaden Daniels. Kind of tough to ignore all these injuries, but I still don't think it's crazy that Mariota is able to move the ball a little bit in this game. He actually has excellent numbers against the blitz this year, and that's on 43 dropbacks too, so a pretty decent sample size. Miami blitzes a lot, so Mariota might be able to make some quick reads and get the ball out in this one. Also, Miami has played better defense against the run. They played the Browns in nasty weather. The Falcons have been really struggling to run the ball. The Chargers with their injuries. Baltimore was able to run the ball on Miami, but this Dolphins defense, they've played better against the run. They've also played some teams that can't run the ball. Washington has been running the ball a little bit. 4.2 yards per carry, 36.1% success rate per rush. Certainly not great, but I think the Commanders are able to give Mariota a little bit of run support in this game. I think Washington's able to sustain some drives. When we flip it over to the other side of the ball, though, this is where this matchup gets tough. I've said a number of times for multiple years now, I don't trust Tua outside of Hard Rock. I'm down to trust him in Miami, but away from Miami, I certainly don't trust him. But this Washington defense, they're just falling apart. On the season, they're 26th in success rate, 30th in EPA per play, Look at their last 5 games. Now, we do have to consider the schedule, but look at these numbers. 7.6 yards per play allowed, over 56% success rate, over 35 points allowed per game. This Washington defense has been absolutely terrible. Now, we have to consider the schedule. They played the Lions, the Seahawks, who are lighting everybody up, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, who have an explosive offense, and then the Bears. And by the way, the Bears offense, not only does it look better, the Bears were coming off a bye week in that one as well. So in terms of the schedule, I think we have to cut Washington's defense a little bit of slack here. They've kind of been through the gauntlet. Now, again, on this side of the ball, same as the offense, we can't ignore the injuries. Deron Payne's actually suspended for this game. Helmet to helmet, I forget exactly why he's suspended, but Deron Payne's suspended for this game in addition to missing Armstrong and Dietrich Wise. So the injuries are racking up on this side of the ball as well. But like I said, I don't trust Tua away from Miami. And honestly, Tua hasn't even played well. I mean, Miami looks better. It's really Achane in the defense. Tua himself hasn't played that well. In the last 5 games, a 75-3 passer rating. He still really struggles with pressure. Washington still does have edge rushers that's able to put pressure on them. Where Miami's had success on offense is running the football. In their last 5 games, 5.1 yards per carry, over 132 rushing yards per game. Now, the success rate indicates it's not very consistent, but Achane's good to rip off a couple big plays. So this is what Miami's been doing. They've been running the football, so they should be able to continue running the football in this game against an injured Washington defense. That's what I thought at first. The more I looked at it, I'm not sure if the current Dolphins offense is really built to exploit where Washington's struggling. Washington's really injured on the defensive line, but Miami's just as injured on the offensive line. It's not like the Dolphins' offensive line is blowing teams off the ball. Achane's had success making guys miss in space. Well, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, those are guys that can make those tackles. So I don't know if Miami's the offense that's built to exploit where Washington's been struggling. Also, Washington can't seem to cover anybody at corner. They're trying to run man coverage. Well, Tua, I don't trust him away from Hard Rock. He's not really throwing the ball downfield anyway. So even though the Dolphins offense looks better, they're running the ball, I don't really know if they're the unit to take advantage of this Washington defense. So I kind of wanted to take Washington. It looks like there is a 3 showing up. It's juiced at the moment. I haven't done anything yet. I almost took Miami plus 1.5 with the look ahead. I didn't. I think both teams are going to be trying to establish the run. I don't think either team wants to drop back and pass a bunch, so I don't hate an under at 42.5. If there's a Washington plus 3 minus 110 available, I'll take it. So give me Washington plus 2. Well, Washington plus 3 under 47.5 for this one. As of right now, I don't have anything. Green Bay is on the road in MetLife here, and I was just talking about this last week. The Packers' recent body of work, I mean, they started off this season so strong. They beat up on the Lions, and then they beat up on Washington in a primetime game. Since then, I mean, this body of work just isn't very impressive. Now we're talking about back-to-back home losses. It's crazy to think that the current rendition of the Giants offense, no Malik Neighbors, no Scadaboo, no Darius Slayton, no Jackson Dart, that the line is still only 7. The market is not really loving Green Bay right now. Now, the Packers have key injuries also, but not so much on this side of the ball. Nate Hobbs is out, but the rest of the defense should be pretty good to go. There's some injuries to the depth, but Packers defense is in pretty good shape. If you're betting the Giants in this game, if you're betting the Giants in this game, you're counting on 2 things. First, you're counting on the Packers offense remaining in their slump. They're in a little bit of an offensive slump right now. And second, on this side of the ball, you're counting on the Giants to run it. That does seem to be the weakness of this Packers defense. They did a good job against Philadelphia, held the Eagles to 3.3 yards per carry, under 24% success rate per rush. But in the 5 games before that, not that they were getting smoked on the ground, but 48.3% success rate per rush. Teams were able to hand the ball off and move the chains on the ground. Giants offensive line, look, the Giants offense is a mess, but the offensive line's completely healthy. So if you plan on taking the big number with the Giants in this one, I would imagine you're counting on the Giants to run the ball. Not sure what to expect from the Giants in terms of a passing attack. We remember how bad this Giants offense looked the last time we saw them play without Jackson Dart. Now, it's not Russell Wilson. So this graphic, it was Russell Wilson the last time Jackson Dart didn't play back in week 3 against the Chiefs. It's Jameis Winston starting at quarterback for the Giants. So I do think that one thing the Giants have going for them here, and I kind of like, they have the element of surprise. not only are they throwing a new quarterback in there and Jameis Winston, but Brian Daboll got fired. So I don't think Green Bay is going to have any film or any idea what the Giants offense is about to come out here and do. Now, do they have the talent to do anything? Even if they do have the element of surprise, they're so injured at wide receiver, running back. They're limited at quarterback with Jameis Winston. Actually, I don't know if limited is the proper word to describe Jameis Winston. He's just instant fireworks when he comes out there. But they definitely do have the element of surprise here. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Giants march right down the field and score and put up 10 points in their first couple drives or something. Kind of like I took South Carolina first half plus the points because of the new play caller. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants offense can find some success early. But as a whole, it should be a good matchup for Green Bay defensively. Now, on the other side of the ball, the Giants defense might be exactly what Green Bay needs right now. I mean, Green Bay's got injuries. We'll talk about it. Jordan Love certainly hasn't looked great. We'll talk about it. But the Giants cannot stop anybody on the ground. I think it's safe to say this is the worst run defense in the NFL. They're 31st in success rate per rush, 32nd in EPA per rush. Look at their last 4 games. They're allowing over 6.4 yards per carry, 47% success rate per rush, over 188 rushing yards per game. And now we've got injuries racking up here. Kayvon Thibodeau most likely not playing. Nunez Roches, the guy on the defensive line, he's most likely out. Okereke, the linebacker, I think he's going to play, but he's banged up. Tyler Nubin, a safety, that's a new injury. He's probably missing this game. So, yeah, in addition to being probably the worst run defense in the NFL, they've also got some injuries racking up. And look, Green Bay has no room to talk in terms of injuries. We know how injured that Packers offense is. Tucker Kraft, Jaden Reed, now Jenkins, the center, is going to miss this one as well. The thing is, Green Bay's been dealing with injuries on the offensive line the entire season. It wasn't Jenkins. It was Zach Tom at tackle. Aaron Banks missed some time. So injuries on the offensive line is nothing new for Green Bay. They've been rotating they've been putting different rotations of offensive linemen out there all season, and they still pretty consistently run the ball. Now, they weren't able to run the ball much last week against Philadelphia, held them to under 30% success rate per rush, but that Eagles defense is coming around. That might be one of the strongest defenses in the NFL right now. In the previous 5 games, they were pretty consistently running it. 4.4 yards per carry, over 45% success rate per rush. This should be a very favorable matchup for Josh Jacobs, and Green Bay should be able to control the ball on the ground in this one. As far as Jordan Love, I really don't know. I mean, he does not look good right now. Is he just incapable of playing quarterback without Tucker Kraft? I know that's like such a hot take bullshit thing to say, but I mean, since Tucker Kraft got hurt in his last 2 games, a 74.5 passer rating. Now, we do know that Jordan Love has struggled under pressure this year. We've talked about it a few times. Jordan Love has some ugly looking splits when pressured, and maybe that's what it is. 38.8% pressure rate in the last 2 games. Jordan Love is not getting the same clean pockets that he was earlier in the season, so that could be it. But in this matchup in particular, I mean, the Giants pass rush really hasn't been all that great. They've been a borderline bottom 10 pass rush, and now with no Kayvon Thibodeau, you would imagine the Giants pass rush is even worse, even though they have Abdul Carter there, so they have another edge rusher that could take those snaps. But yeah, they haven't been generating consistent pressure, so I would imagine Jordan Love has clean pockets to throw from in this one. And if you think about it, I mean, the worst run defense in the NFL, Jordan Love should have run support and clean pockets to throw from. In addition to that, no defense in the NFL runs man coverage more frequently than the Giants. Over 39% of their defensive snaps are in man coverage. Jordan Love has over a 120 passer rating against man this year. So Jordan Love against man coverage with clean pockets and run support. If the Packers are unable to score points in this game, it's time to hit the panic button because something is wrong. This should be the perfect matchup on paper for Green Bay's offense. I think the way to go here is over, and I actually ended up pulling the trigger on this. I'm a little bit worried about Green Bay holding onto the football forever and killing the clock, so that's how the over could get busted here, but they should score, and we're talking about Jameis Winston on the other side. There was a period, what was that, his year with the Browns? I forget exactly what it was, but we were blindly betting overs every Jameis Winston game because the dude it just has no fear. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, just fireworks with Jameis Winston. So even though I don't necessarily like the matchup for the Giants offense, it's Jameis, and he's not scared to pull the trigger. So I took the over at 42. Fireworks in this one. Show me something, Jameis. All right, Bucs are on the road in Buffalo. Both these teams looking to bounce back after a loss. Tampa obviously took the home loss to New England, where Buffalo took a more embarrassing loss, 30-13 on the road in Miami. So both these teams looking to get back in the win column. There was a positive takeaway, though, from the Bucs loss. They played the Patriots, who have a very strong run defense. Tampa Bay been struggling to run the ball all year. Obviously, there's no Bucky Irving right now. In that game against New England, 5.1 yards per carry, over 54% success rate per rush. Remember, Tampa Bay kind of controlled that game. New England won the game 28-23. 21 of the Patriots' 28 points came on 3 huge plays, like a 55-yard touchdown, a 62-yard touchdown, and a 70-yard touchdown, or something crazy like that. So 21 of their 28 points came on 3 huge plays. The Bucs were controlling the clock. They were moving the ball. Baker Mayfield played well. It wasn't that bad of a performance for the Bucs. And the fact that they were running the ball is huge, because remember, when the Bucs had all that offensive success last year, they were doing a lot of their damage on the ground. In fact, the Bucs were a top 5 rushing offense last year in terms of efficiency. So getting the run going is a very positive sign for this Bucs offense. And it's especially huge in this matchup, because stopping the run has been a huge weakness of Buffalo's all year. That dates back to previous years as well. They're 24th in success rate per rush, 30th in EPA per rush. Pretty much everyone Buffalo plays is able to run the ball. Look at their last 4 games. Falcons, Panthers, Chiefs, Dolphins. Not like they're playing the Ravens and the Eagles or anything like that. Well, the Eagles probably a bad example this year, but last 4 games, they're allowing over 150 rushing yards per game, over 5.5 yards per carry, over 43% success rate per rush. Now, Buffalo is a bit healthier on the defensive side of the ball. Daquan Jones is back at defensive tackle. I think he only missed 1 game, though. That wasn't long term. Also, Matt Milano was injured. He's been back a couple games. So I guess you could say they're a bit healthier, but Buffalo was struggling to stop the run even before these guys got hurt. So I really think Tampa Bay is going to be able to run the ball in this game. And I mean, look, I know the Bucs have all kinds of injuries on their offense. I mean, Godwin, Irving, McMillan, Evans. The left guard is now out as well. That's actually a new one. They did get the right tackle, Godecki, back, though. I still think Tampa Bay is able to run the ball in this game, because pretty much everyone is able to run the ball in the Bills. We saw the Saints running the ball in the Bills. So, yeah, I think the Bucs are able to run the ball in this game. And if they can run the ball, they should be able to score points, because the strength of this Buffalo defense is the pass rush. Baker Mayfield's been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL under pressure for multiple years now. So we're talking about Baker Mayfield with run support. He knows how to handle a pass rush. Another thing Baker Mayfield knows how to do, play in a harsh road environment. Remember, Baker as a road dog. Since joining the Bucs, he's 12-4 against the spread, 8-8 straight up. So he actually wins a lot of these games as a road dog. I think Tampa Bay is going to move the ball in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, obviously we're talking about Josh Allen. Buffalo's one of the best offenses in the NFL. Tampa Bay might be equipped to give him some problems, though. This is arguably the best run defense in the NFL. They're 1st in success rate per rush, 4th in EPA per rush. Now, obviously, the Bills can throw the ball also, but this is still an offense that wants to run the ball. I believe they're top 5 in the NFL in rushing frequency. They might not be able to run the ball on this Bucs defense, because almost nobody can. Now, where the Bucs defense has struggled recently is against the pass. And I mean, these numbers aren't that bad. 280.5 passing yards allowed per game, 49.3% success rate per dropbacks, a little rough looking. Average opponent passer rating only 79.2. So it's not like they've been terrible against the pass, but we're talking about Josh Allen. He's going to have opportunities to make throws in this game. We know Todd Bowles is going to be sending all kinds of blitzes at him, because that's what Todd Bowles does. 5th in the NFL in blitz rate. Josh Allen's been good, not great. 96.7 passer rating against the blitz. He has had some problems with pressure. So maybe the Bucs pass rush can pose a little bit of a problem. Overall, I mean, it's Josh Allen at home coming off a loss. I'm sure they're not going to get shut out here. But we've seen Josh Allen have problems in games where you're able to take the run away. When you force him into these 2nd and longs, 3rd and longs, we have seen Josh Allen have some problems. We saw New England do it to him earlier this season. So, yeah, I think Tampa Bay's defense is equipped to give them some problems. The Bills' offense is also going to be missing Dalton Kincaid in this one, but, I mean, they've got plenty of weapons. Look, as a whole, I did place a bet in this game. If I'm being honest, it was a look ahead. I grabbed the Bucs at +6.5. So It's at 6, so I guess I have a little bit of an edge as of right now. But when I placed it, the Bills hadn't lost to Miami yet. I was not expecting the Bills to be coming off a loss to Miami. That kind of changes how I view things. I mean, look, it's Baker as a road dog. I think they'll be able to move the ball, so I don't think it's a bad bet or anything. But I do view the game a little differently now that the Bills are coming off a loss to the Dolphins. So I am in on this one. I'm on the Bucs at +6.5. Cincinnati's on the road in Pittsburgh here, and the Steelers will be looking for their revenge. We all remember what happened Thursday Night Football, Joe Flacco. That was awesome because pretty much all of us were on the Bengals, like everyone in the community and in our chat, and it was a fun game to watch. Final score was 33-31, so Pittsburgh's looking to get their revenge from that Thursday night loss. Cincinnati's offense with Joe Flacco really hasn't slowed down since then. By the way, 7.4 yards per play in that Week 7 game against Pittsburgh. In the 2 games since, 7.8 yards per play, 40 points per game. Now they played the Jets and the Bears, but this Cincinnati offense has not slowed down at all. Joe Flacco was actually listed as questionable in their last game against Chicago. Ended up playing and went nuclear. 470 yards against the Bears, a 109.4 passer rating. There's also injuries racking up on this Steelers defense. Darius Slay's been ruled out. Deshaun Elliott's been out. That's not new. Cole Holcomb is out. He's been out as well, though. That's not new. Alex Highsmith is new. He was injured earlier in the season, came back. He's been ruled out for this one. So based on what we saw on Thursday night, based on what we're seeing Cincinnati do every week, based on the injuries to the Steelers defense, you'd say, all right, Cincinnati's going to come in and do the same thing. We should expect 30-plus points. Here's why I personally think the Steelers can put together a much better defensive effort in this game. So you look at the year-long numbers. 19th in success rate, 22nd in EPA per play. We know the Steelers have had their problems on this side of the ball. We know the pass rush is still there, though. They're towards the top of the NFL in terms of time to pressure. We know Joe Flacco struggles with the pressure, struggles with the blitz. So how did Joe Flacco have so much success against the Steelers back in Week 7? Well, right off the bat, we know Joe Flacco has got to get the ball out of his hands quickly, right? Against the Steelers pass rush, he's terrible under pressure, doesn't handle blitzes well. He's got to get the ball out quickly. And that's exactly what happened in Week 7. 2.26 seconds to release. He got the ball out immediately the entire game. In that Week 7 game, Joe Flacco dropped back to pass 49 times in the game. Want to know how many of those passes traveled 20 yards? 3. 3 passes that traveled 20 yards of his 49 dropbacks. I really think the Steelers are in a position to make some defensive adjustments here. It's supposed to be a really windy day, 18 to 20 mile an hour winds. Mike Tomlin should be in a position where he could be extremely aggressive, taking away those underneath throws, basically daring Joe Flacco to throw the ball deep. Like I said, it's going to be extremely windy. Not that Joe Flacco can't make those throws, but it's going to be extremely windy. That's number one. Number two, he can't stand in the pocket for more than 2.5 seconds because the Steelers' pressure is going to get there. He can't handle pressure. So I think based on what happened in Week 7, I think Tomlin's going to be really aggressive here and not give him those underneath throws. Basically, dare him to beat him deep because Joe Flacco's not going to have the time in the pocket for those routes to develop. So I think the game plan is pretty set here. At least if I'm calling the defense, I'm extremely aggressive. I'm not letting them get those underneath throws. You want to beat me over top? Go ahead. My pass rush is going to get there before the route can develop. So I think Tomlin's in a pretty good position to come out with a game plan that really could give this Cincinnati offense problems. Now, on the other side of the ball, this is why I don't have a bet on Pittsburgh. I don't know if I think this offense is any good. They're 18th in success rate, 20th in EPA per play. Cincinnati's defense, I mean, I think we can all agree this is the worst defense in the NFL, dead last and dead last. Look at their last 4 games. This is a historic run from this Cincinnati defense. They're allowing 36 points per game, 7.4 yards per play, over 58% success rate. Here's the thing. A lot of what I just said about Joe Flacco, you can kind of say the same thing about Aaron Rodgers. He's getting the ball out on average 2.35 seconds this year. He's not throwing the ball downfield much. And in a game where, look, Cincinnati with no Hendrickson, they're injured. They don't generate any pressure. I actually think Cincinnati can be a little aggressive also, daring Rodgers to throw the ball downfield into that wind because we know that's not what Rodgers is doing. That's not what the Steelers have been doing recently. So, look, I'm not suggesting the Steelers, the Bengals defense can make a ton of stops here. They're terrible, but I don't like the matchup for either offense. So I think everyone's looking at this game and they're remembering what just happened on Thursday night. They're seeing every single Bengals game with a 40-35 final score, and I think everyone's just expecting a shootout. I actually think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I kind of want to go under 48.5. The reason I don't actually have a bet on this one is, I mean, both these teams run a decent pace, 2nd and 16th. Also, both these teams throw the ball a lot, even though I expect the throws to be underneath. That's what these quarterbacks like to do. So I didn't actually pull the trigger on anything in this game, but I want to take an under. I think we're going to see a lack of explosive plays. I think we're going to see aggressive play calling by both defenses. So yeah, give me under. Didn't actually pull the trigger on this. I kind of think the Steelers are going to cover, if I'm being honest. We got an AFC South game here. Houston's on the road at Tennessee. Texans coming off a miracle, not only a miracle comeback win, but more importantly, a cover. I was on a terrible number. I had Houston minus 2.5. I bet it on the look ahead before CJ Stroud had gotten hurt the previous week. That was dead in the water. I'm sure everyone knows what happened, but yeah, miracle cover from Houston. And honestly, this might be the ultimate sell high spot on this Houston offense. Remember, there's no CJ Stroud right now. And in addition to that, they're now going out on the road where Houston never plays as well offensively on the road. I know they had that one really strong road performance earlier in the year back in week 5 against the Ravens. Baltimore was missing basically their entire team in that game. You look at Houston's other 3 road games, they were held to under 13 points per game, 5 yards per play, under 42% success rate. This is not a very strong offense, period, let alone on the road. And with Davis Mills at quarterback, I don't have a ton of faith in Houston doing a ton here offensively. And I know you might be thinking, well, Kyle, they're playing the Titans. Well, this Tennessee defense is going to be healthier than they have been. It looks like Jeffrey Simmons is coming back for this game. It looks like Arden Key is also coming back for this game. This Titans defense might be healthier right now for this game than they have been all year. And they're coming off a bye week. I very seriously doubt Houston's going to be able to run the ball in this game. They haven't been able to run the ball all year. The OC, Nick Caley, came out and said they're making establishing the run a priority. Well, good luck with that. They're 32nd in success rate per rush, 30th in EPA per rush. And Tennessee's defense, despite all the injuries they've had, they're still 14th in success rate per rush. This Houston team couldn't run the ball on Tennessee earlier in the season back in week 4. This was at home in Houston. 3.7 yards per carry, 34% success rate per rush. So I don't think Houston's able to run the ball on the Titans in this one. And this is a Titans defensive front that might be able to generate pressure without sending extra rushers. The Titans don't blitz much, and getting those pieces back on the defensive line, I think they're able to put some pressure on Davis Mills in this game. I don't think he's going to have run support. The advantage for Houston offensively would be Nico Collins and those rookie receivers, those Iowa State guys against the Titans secondary, but I'm not even sure if they're able to exploit that. I think Houston's offense is going to struggle in this game. And honestly, when we're talking about the Titans, they didn't just get healthier on defense. With Calvin Ridley most likely returning, this is actually going to be the first time all season that the Titans have their full offense on the field, completely healthy at the same time. First time all year. Now, let's not get it twisted. This is the worst offense in the NFL against arguably the best defense in the NFL. I mean, this graphic tells the story here. Titans 31st in success rate, 32nd in EPA per play. By no means am I suggesting Cam Ward and the Titans offense is going to put up a big number against Houston. Let's not get crazy, but let's give Cam Ward a little bit of credit. He has played better. 82.4 passer rating in his last 3 games, 219.7 yards per game in those 3. And I know you're probably looking at this graphic thinking, what do you mean he's playing better? That doesn't look good at all. Well, in comparison to the first handful of games, it is considerably better. So Cam Ward does look better recently. Remember, we're talking about a new era of Tennessee Titans football. They fired their head coach. They're rocking with an interim head coach right now. We've seen them play one game under the interim head coach, and they were competitive. It was a 1-score game. In fact, in the third quarter, they had the ball down 2017. It was 4th and goal on the 1. They didn't get it, and then the Chargers ended up scoring to make it. They went up 10. But the Titans were competitive in that game. So, yeah, I got a great number on this one. It's long gone. I'm on the Titans at plus 7.5. I bet the look ahead. What's it at now? 5.5, 6. If you can still get a 6, I do. I think this is a field goal game. I think this number should be 4.5. So, yeah, I'm on the Titans. Got a great number. Chicago Bears on the road at Minnesota. Bears looking for revenge here. This is the game where J.J. McCarthy, remember his first start, and in the first half, he looked terrible, and Twitter was ripping this guy to shreds, and then he came out in the third quarter, and led 3 consecutive touchdown drives to come back. The Bears had a double-digit lead, and they came from behind to win after everyone was making fun of them in the first half. And we were just talking about this on the live show. The Bears need to get their revenge here because I don't think Bears could mentally handle a quote-unquote J.J. McCarthy owns the Bears narrative. If McCarthy goes 2-0 against the Bears, I don't know if that fan base could mentally handle that. So the Bears really need to get revenge against J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy owns the Bears would be a terrifying narrative for Bears fans. The main question, we're talking about the Bears offense against the Vikings defense. And in my opinion, the main question, this newly found Bears rushing attack. Because remember, Ben Johnson has this run game working. They're actually a top 10 rushing offense this year. They're 8th in success rate per rush, 8th in EPA per rush. Can the Bears keep this newly found run game rolling here against Minnesota's defense? Now, on the year, doesn't look great. 17th in success rate per rush, 22nd in EPA per rush. Look at the Bears rushing numbers from their last 5 games. Over 184 rushing yards per game, 6.2 yards per carry, 46% success rate per rush. Excellent rushing numbers in their last 5 games. Now, we do have to consider the opponents. Washington and their injured defensive front. Bears were coming off a bye in that one as well. The Saints run defense isn't that bad. That's a bad team. The Ravens, the Ravens weren't, I don't know if the Ravens were completely injured in that one. I think the defense was mostly back, or the secondary was. The Bengals, worst defense in the NFL. Giants, worst run defense in the NFL. So we do have to consider that they've played some easier defenses. The question is, do we consider the Minnesota run defense to be back? Because earlier in the season, remember last year, the Vikings had one of the best run defenses in the NFL. And through 5 games, they were allowing over 4.6 yards per carry, over 132 rushing yards per game. Now, in their last 4 games, it looks better. It still doesn't look like last year's Vikings run defense, but they're allowing less than 4 yards per carry, under 37% success rate per rush. So the Vikings run defense definitely looks better. I don't know. Do we consider this Vikings run defense to be back? We need to know if Chicago's going to be able to run the ball in this game. Now, in terms of health, the Vikings defense is in pretty good shape. Remember, Blake Cashman was dealing with an injury earlier in the season. He's now fine. Van Ginkel missed a big chunk of games. He's now fine. Jonathan Grenard, though, that's a starter. That's an important piece of the defense. He's going to miss this one. Other than that, the Vikings defense should be good to go. On the Bears side, no Braxton Jones, but that's not new. He's been out since week 4, and actually the guy that's been starting in his spot, pretty sure he's a rookie. I forget his name, but the Bears fans really like him. Apparently, he's a great run blocker. So Bears offense is in pretty good shape as well. We need to know if Chicago's going to be able to run the ball in this game, because if they can't, I'd definitely be a little worried about the Bears offense in this game. Now, Caleb Williams does have solid-looking numbers against the blitz, so let's give him a little bit of credit. But against Brian Flores and this Vikings defense, it'd be a really tough matchup for Caleb Williams. He tends to hold on to the football. He's been a little bit better with it this year. He's not taking as many sacks, but still 3.1 seconds is a long time. He tends to hold on to the ball. So I don't really like the matchup for Caleb Williams if he's not going to have run support. Now, as far as his career against the Vikings, he's never beaten them. He's 0-3 in his career against Minnesota. That being said, he didn't necessarily play terribly in those games. 247 yards per game, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a 93.6 passer rating. So he was actually okay in the 3 games against the Vikings. In fact, of these 3 losses, one went to overtime, and then the other one, they blew an 11-point lead. That was the one earlier this year. So despite it being a rough matchup for Caleb Williams, it's not like he's played terribly against Minnesota. Regardless, I'd be a little hesitant to trust this Bears offense if the run game's not going to be there. Now, on the other side of the ball, this matchup gets a little tough because the Vikings offense is not very good. 22nd in success rate, 28th in EPA per play. But the Bears defense isn't very good either, 25th and 21st. Now, the Bears don't generate a ton of pressure. That's obviously one of the weaknesses of their defense. But J.J. McCarthy, one of the least efficient quarterbacks in the NFL from a clean pocket, a 63.5 passer rating from a clean pocket is absolutely terrible. And another thing the Bears do a lot of is blitz. J.J. McCarthy, 67.3 passer rating against the blitz. So J.J. McCarthy, not exactly the quarterback to exploit what the Bears are weak at. Where I'm worried when it comes to this Bears defense is the injuries. Now, good news is it looks like Jaquan Brisker is going to play, and that's huge because they can't afford another injury on this defense. But TJ Edwards that crushes this defense, because if you remember, earlier in the season, TJ Edwards was injured, and the Bears were terrible against the run. Through the first 4 games, they were allowing 6.1 yards per carry, over 164 rushing yards per game. Then TJ Edwards came back, and look, it wasn't a great run defense, but it was definitely better. under 36% success rate per rush. Now TJ Edwards is injured again. Now he didn't play last game, but it was against the Giants, and the Giants with Russell Wilson in there. So we'll see. But I don't believe this Bears run defense is very good, especially without TJ Edwards. And Minnesota is pretty healthy on the offensive side of the ball. Still no Ryan Kelly, but remember, Darisaw was dealing with injuries. He's good. Brian O'Neill was dealing with injuries. He's good. Donovan Jackson missed time earlier in the year. Aaron Jones missed some time. So other than Ryan Kelly, the center, everyone else is good to go here on Minnesota's offense. And since that offensive line got together, since they've gotten healthier, well, still no Ryan Kelly, but since the other pieces have kind of gotten back on the field, or gotten 100%, I should say, we've seen Minnesota start to run the ball. In their last 2 games, 6.2 yards per carry, over 45% success rate per rush. So even though I don't trust J.J. McCarthy and I don't trust him to exploit the Bears defense, I still think Minnesota is able to control this game on the ground, which is why if this game is under a field goal, it has to be Minnesota for me. I actually bet this game. I split a unit in half. I put a half unit on the Vikings at -2.5. I also put a half unit on the under at 48.5. And the reason I like the under, I think the new identity of this Bears offense under Ben Johnson, they want to run the ball. And Minnesota clearly wants to run the ball. That's what they've been doing recently. I think both of these teams believe they can win the game by running the ball. So I think both these teams are going to be running the ball nonstop. And I think the clock's going to be continuously rolling. I could see a lot of field goals, long drives. So yeah, a half unit on each. Vikings -2.5, under 48.5 for me. Carolina on the road at Atlanta. This game sucks, man. I spent way too much time on this game trying to find something, and I got nothing. So Falcons coming off a tough loss where they played a pretty good football game overseas against the Colts. That was in overtime. Carolina also coming off a loss, but it wasn't a tough one, and they didn't play well. Coming off a double-digit, terrible loss to the Saints at home. So both these teams coming off losses, but Atlanta's was certainly less pathetic than Carolina's. Obviously, we know the Falcons will be looking to get revenge here from the beatdown we saw back in week 3, 30-0. The Panthers beat them, so Atlanta back at home looking to get revenge. I think it's safe to declare this a must-win for Atlanta. They're sitting at 3-6. If they lose this game, they'll be 3 games back of the Panthers. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 games back or 2.5 games back, whatever. I don't have it in front of me. They'll be 2 or 3 games back. I forget exactly what it is, of the Panthers, and Carolina will have taken 2 from them in the head-to-head series. So I think we can declare this a must-win game for Atlanta. In terms of matching these two up on the field, these are 2 tough football teams to get a feel for right now. I mean, based on the full year numbers, we're looking at the Panthers offense against the Falcons defense. Based on the full year numbers, you think, oh, Carolina can run the ball on the Falcons. Panthers 11th in success rate per rush, 10th in EPA per rush. Falcons defense 29th and 28th. So, okay, Carolina can run the ball on the Falcons, right? The graphic is pretty loud and clear. Here's the thing. Carolina's run game just doesn't seem to be there anymore. Remember when Rico Dowdle was like ripping off 220-yard games and everything? There was a 4-game stretch where they're averaging over 175 rushing yards per game, over 51% success rate per rush. But in their last 4, and by the way, it's not like they went through a gauntlet of tough defenses. The Jets, the Bills are weak against the run. Green Bay's been struggling against the run. And the Saints have an okay run defense. So it's not like they played a gauntlet of defenses. Yards per carry is down at 4, under 37% success rate per rush. I'm not sure if that Panthers hard-nosed physical run game, not sure if it's there anymore. And you know what's weird about it is Carolina was so injured on this side of the ball. They had offensive linemen out. They were missing their tight end. They were missing 3 or 4 wide receivers. They were so injured. They pretty much got everyone back, and that's when they stopped running the ball. They got healthy, and the run game disappeared. So, look, it's the Falcons. They've struggled against the run this year. I'm sure Carolina will be able to run the ball a little bit in this game, but I think those dominant Rico Dowdle games, I think that was kind of just a flash in the pan. I don't think Carolina has that dominant of a run game right now. And I'll tell you, when it comes to this matchup, going on the road in Atlanta, they better be able to run the ball, because Bryce Young against those Falcons blitz packages is a terrible matchup. Atlanta blitzes as much, if not more, than any other team in the NFL, and Bryce Young has a 67.5 passer rating against the blitz, 4.9 yards per pass attempt. So he does not get the ball downfield against the blitz. So if the run isn't there for Carolina, this could be a really long day for the Panthers offense. Now, we do need to mention the injuries on the Falcons defense. Mike Hughes is questionable. Zach Harrison's questionable. Leonard Floyd's out. Still no Diablo. This Falcons defense is not 100%, but the way they blitz, if I'm Atlanta, take away the run, and it should be a tough matchup for the Panthers. So I don't hate this matchup for the Falcons defense. On the other side of the ball, I honestly have no clue. Are the Falcons a good offense? If somebody asks you, do you think the Atlanta Falcons are a good offense, what would you say? I have no idea. They're 17th in success rate, 25th in EPA per play. There are times where it looks flashy, it looks good. They've got cool names. I feel like they're cool to play with in Madden. They're better in Madden than they actually are. But yeah, they've been a below average offense so far this year. I suppose if you're looking for a reason to back the Falcons, you could say we haven't seen the Falcons play a home game with their starting quarterback, Penix, since week 6. And in week 6, that was probably the Falcons' best win of the season against the Bills. So, I mean, it's been a while. So remember, Kirk Cousins played a game, and then one of their home games was overseas. So it's actually been a while since they played a home game with their quarterback. And the last time we saw that, they played great. And Michael Penix played pretty well in that game. Bijan Robinson also went off. They had 211 yards rushing as a team, 6.8 yards per carry, over 51% success rate per rush. So I suppose that's an angle. The Falcons offense looked really good in their last home game with their starting quarterback. So their last true home game, they looked excellent. And Carolina's defense, it looked good there for a while, definitely trending in the wrong direction. They played Miami, Dallas, and the Jets, 5.3 yards per play, success rate under 40%. We were like, wow, Carolina's defense is actually pretty good. But in the last 3 games, they're only allowing 23.3 points per game, which isn't bad. Look at the yards per play and the success rate. The efficiency numbers indicate that the Panthers defense really hasn't been playing that well. So I think the Falcons can move the ball, but there's also injuries on this side. Offensive line's a little banged up. How can we trust the Falcons offense if Drake London doesn't play? He's like the main piece of that offense. Well, probably Bijan, but Drake London feels like every single major Falcons moment this year is Drake London making a big catch. So how can we trust Atlanta without Drake London? We don't know if he's going to play. He's got a back injury and he's sick. He's dealing with an illness as well. So we don't know if Drake London's going to play. But then again, Carolina's missing Trevin Wallace, one of their leading tacklers in the middle. Patrick Jones, he's out, but that's not new. He's been out all year. Now, when it comes to betting this game, I don't know, man. I mean, I personally would make this game 4.5. So I think at 3.5, it's a juice 3.5. I think at 3.5, there might be a slight lean towards the Falcons, but I don't know. I don't know if I even think the Falcons are a good team right now. So for the video, I'll pick Atlanta minus 3.5. But you know what? I also don't hate an over at 41.5. I think the Falcons are going to score. But if Carolina's able to run the ball and chew the clock up, yeah, this game sucks. Panthers minus 3.5, over 41.5. Chargers are flying across the country to play the Jags in Jacksonville. Right off the bat, we know the Chargers are going to struggle to run the ball in this game. Jacksonville's been really strong up front this year. They're 3rd in success rate per rush, 14th in EPA per rush. The Chargers have all kinds of issues at the running back position, on the offensive line. I'm sure you know about it. So right off the bat, we know the Chargers are going to struggle to run the ball in this game. The questionable part of this Jags defense has been the secondary. Not only is it not the most talented secondary in the world, but they're also dealing with injuries. No Jordan Lewis. Eric Murray's also out. He's been out, though. That's not new. So that's the vulnerable part of this Jags defense is the secondary. Here's the thing. Will Justin Herbert have the time to let these routes develop? Remember, this Chargers offensive line is a mess. Now, Jacksonville's pass rush, it's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's pretty middle of the pack. They blitz a decent amount. Remember, these are not the original offensive tackles for the Chargers. Both Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt are out for the season. So these are backup offensive tackles here for the Chargers. Trevor Penning they brought in from the Saints, and Bobby Hart is currently starting at offensive tackle, who's listed as questionable, by the way. Now, I think Bobby Hart's going to play. But yeah, this offensive line is very questionable right now. So as shaky as this secondary may be for Jacksonville, I mean, with no run support and limited pass protection, remember, there's questions at offensive tackle. The Jacks have edge rushers. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker. The Jets have talent in terms of their edge rushers. So do we really think the Chargers can go on the road and exploit it? I think the Jags are going to play a good defensive game here. And Justin Herbert might be a little bit queasy in this building. This is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but remember, this is the place where the Chargers blew a 27-0 lead in a playoff game. just a few years ago. They were leading 27-0 right before half. The Jags scored a touchdown with 24 seconds remaining in the half. They ended up coming all the way back to win 31-30. So Justin Herbert, not exactly fond memories of this building. I think the Jags are going to play a solid defensive game here. Now, on the other side of the ball, this Chargers defense, it's an interesting matchup on this side of the ball because this Chargers defense is all the way back. They got Khalil Mack back from injury. They got Denzel Perryman back from injury. Look at their last 3 games. 13.3 points per game, 5.1 yards per play, under 39% success rate. Chargers defense is playing lights out right now. The thing is, and this is where the matchup gets interesting, the strength has been the pass rush. No one can throw the ball on this team. 5.6 yards per pass attempt in their last 3 games, under 155 pass yards per game. 38.1% success rate per dropback. So the strength has been the pass rush, defending the pass. I mean, we know Trevor Lawrence is really going to struggle to throw the ball in this game. Keep in mind, they're missing receiving weapons. Travis Hunter's injured. Brian Thomas Jr. is banged up, although it looks like he has a good chance of playing. They're also missing Anton Harrison at right tackle, so a piece missing in terms of pass protection. Trevor Lawrence has also really struggled with pressure this year. 56.7 passer rating under pressure. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle to throw the ball in this game. But here's the thing. Jacksonville's not even trying to throw the ball. They have one of the most efficient run games in the NFL. They're 3rd in success rate per rush, 3rd in EPA per rush. Now, this graphic makes it look like the Chargers have struggled against the run. That's the season-long numbers. They've been lights out against the run in the last few games as well. So I'm not suggesting Jacksonville's going to average 5.5 yards per carry here. I'm just suggesting that it's a little bit different than the offenses that they've seen in the last few games. They played Pittsburgh, Tennessee. They haven't seen a rushing attack like this. In fact, if you rewind back to Week 7, we were talking about how the Chargers have been lights out in their last 3 games. Well, what happened the game before that? They saw another efficient rushing attack, another quarterback that likes to work out of play action. Chargers defense got cooked, and Khalil Mack and Denzel Perryman played in this game, by the way. It was their first game back from injury, but they played in this game. Colts averaged 7.7 yards per play and put 38 on the Chargers defense. Look, I'm not suggesting the Jags offense is going to go nuts, but at a full 3 at home, I think you take Jacksonville here. I bet the Chargers last week, completely different circumstances. They were at home. It was under a field goal. It was against a Steelers team that can't run the ball. They were going to try to drop Rodgers back against this pass rush. It was a terrible matchup. I don't even think the Steelers are very good. So I bet the Chargers in their last game against the Steelers, but now they're going on the road across the country, laying an even bigger number than they were laying at home against a team that can run the ball with that offensive line. I think you take Jack. I'm kind of talking myself into it. I didn't do anything with this game, but I think I'm going to add the Jags +3. You know what? I'm going to do it. Give me Jags +3. This is probably a bad decision. I'm adding this. Seahawks Rams in what is probably the game of the week, the Cooper Kupp revenge game. Cooper Kupp returns to L.A. Battle for the NFC West. 2 of the strongest teams in the NFC. Interested to see who gets out to an early lead here because both these teams, I mean, Seattle has jumped out to a 28-0 lead in back-to-back games. So whoever has to play from behind here, be the first time they have to play from behind in quite a while. So yeah, this is a great game. Right off the bat, when we're talking about the Seattle offense, we know the run is probably not going to be there. They're 23rd in success rate per rush, 26th in EPA per rush. They're the most efficient passing attack in the NFL. But the run game's been a little inconsistent, and this Rams defensive front has been so good. This is a borderline top 5 run defense. So Seattle probably not going to be able to run the ball in this game. They're also going to be missing their center, Sundell. Torrey Horton, a late addition to the injury report. He's been ruled out as well. So Sam Darnold probably not going to have run support in this game, but he hasn't had run support in several games this year, and it hasn't slowed him down. Darnold to Smith and Jigba looks like an unstoppable force. I will say the Rams have done a pretty good job limiting the downfield throws. This Rams defense has struggled against dinks and dunks. They're 27th in the NFL in passer rating allowed via the short pass. It's actually not the best matchup for Sam Darnold. He's got an 89.8 passer rating on short passes. Sam Darnold's been elite throwing the ball downfield, but in terms of dinking and dunking, that's not really what Sam Darnold has done, and he hasn't been that efficient when he's tried to do that. If you look at the Rams' defensive numbers on the year, what were the 2 games where the Rams struggled against the pass? The 2 Mac Jones games, because he dinks and dunks. He never throws the ball downfield. When he does, he's terrible at it. In all their other games against teams not named the 49ers, got pretty solid numbers against the pass, just 6.8 yards per pass attempt. Now, part of the reason that they've done a good job limiting downfield throws is the pass rush. The Rams might have the best pass rush in the NFL. They're first in time to pressure. Now, Sam Darnold, 83.8 passer rating under pressure, rock solid. He's handled pressure just fine this year. But what are the two best pass rushes that Sam Darnold's seen so far this year? Pittsburgh and Houston. The Seahawks have played 2 games this year against elite pass rushes. This will be the third. Those happen to be Sam Darnold's 2 worst games statistically. 81.8 passer rating in those 2 games. So the Rams pass rush might be equipped to give Sam Darnold some problems, especially when he doesn't have run support, especially when the Rams might be able to limit the downfield throws. Look, this Seattle offense has looked unstoppable, but the Rams might have the best defense in the NFL right now. So I do think they're able to give Darnold some problems. On the other side of the ball, though, look, the Rams have the most efficient offense in the NFL on paper. They're first in success rate. I'm not sleeping on this Seattle defense, specifically that defensive front 7. That's probably the best front 7 in the NFL. They are damn good. They're 8th in success rate, 5th in EPA per play. Nobody is running the ball on this Seahawks defense. It looks like they're probably getting Ernest Jones back. I actually think they took him off the injury report. So it looks like they are getting Ernest Jones back, their linebacker. In their last 5 games, they're allowing less than 4 yards per carry, under 33% success rate per rush. So the Rams have been able to run the ball a bit this year. I don't think they're going to be doing much running in this one against that Seattle defensive front. And just like the Rams pass rush, Seattle's pass rush is also a problem. One of the best pass rushes in the NFL. And just like the Rams, they do it without sending extra rushers. Now, just like Sam Darnold, Stafford's been excellent under pressure. 91.8 passer rating, so it's not that he's incapable of handling it. Stafford also tends to get the ball out quickly. But combine the pass rush with the fact that he's probably not going to have run support, I'm sure the Seahawks pass rush is able to give him some problems. The pushback I have, and this is the only pushback I have about the Seattle defense, how good do we think this secondary is? Now, they have Witherspoon, Reek Woolen, they've got names. Julian Love is still injured. How good do we think this Seattle secondary is? I know their numbers against the pass on the year are excellent. They've got an elite run defense and an elite pass rush. How good do we think this secondary is? You take a look at their body of work here. What quarterbacks have they seen? They saw Brock Purdy in the opener. Purdy was pretty efficient in that game, and San Francisco beat him. Then Rodgers, the Saints, the Cardinals, then Baker Mayfield. That's a solid one. Jacksonville, Houston, Marcus Mariota, the Cardinals again. They haven't seen a ton of quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield's a solid one, but that game was at home against Baker Mayfield. Baker ripped them to shreds. 379 yards, a 134.7 passer rating in the game. So this Seattle secondary, I'm not sure how strong it is. They played a lot of games against some bad quarterbacks. We're talking about Matt Stafford here. Definitely not a bad quarterback. Now, I would like to see Davante Adams out there. He's listed as questionable. From what I'm reading, he's expected to play. We'll see. Without Adams, with no run support and that pass rush, I really would like to see Davante Adams on the field as a safety blanket. This game, man, as far as watching, this is the best game of the day. This is going to be awesome to watch as a football fan. But as far as betting it, I mean, 3's perfect. I'd probably make this game 3 minus 120. So I think the market's perfect as far as a side. I do think the total's a tad high. I'll probably have it 47.5 maybe, but I'll say under 48.5 for the video, but this number's perfect at 3. I guess I would bet the Rams at 2.5 and the Seahawks at 4.5. That's how I feel about this game. So, yeah, for the video, I'll say under 48.5, but not sure how much value is in this one. This will be a great one to watch, though. 49ers Cardinals in Arizona. The story of this one is injuries on both sides. More good news on the 49ers side than bad news. Cardinals is mostly bad news. So San Francisco's offense, I believe this is the healthiest this offense has been all year. Brock Purdy back at quarterback. Ricky Pearsall is back. Ben Barch is back at left guard. I actually think Ben Barch came back last game. But yeah, San Francisco's offense, this is the healthiest it's been all season. And the Cardinals defense is not getting healthier. Mac Wilson just recently placed on the IR. They're missing, there's 3 corners on this graphic list that is out, but they're also missing Will Johnson, who's their 4th corner. So they're missing their top 4 corners. Also, Darius Robinson, their edge rusher, is on the injury report listed as questionable. And I mean, the injuries are finally catching up with this Arizona defense. They actually started off the season playing some decent defense. They're allowing just 19.2 points per game through their first 5 games. The injuries finally caught up with them because the last 4 games, I mean, they're allowing almost 30 points per game, 6.4 yards per play, success rate up in over 54%. This defense really struggling to get off the field right now. So look, as long as Brock Purdy is 80% of his old self. The 49ers should not have problems moving the ball here. It should be a good matchup for Christian McCaffrey. I would imagine Kyle Shanahan is able to put points on the board in this one. And then the other side of the ball, it's the same story. This Cardinals are just crushed with injuries, man. So obviously Kyler Murray is hurt. That's not new. Jacoby Brissett's going to be a quarterback, but that's probably a positive the way he's been playing. But they just lost Jonah Williams, their right tackle. They just lost Marvin Harrison. Zay Jones came back from injury only to get hurt again. So this Cardinals offense, same as the defense, still taking hits, just crushed with injuries. And the 49ers, yes, they're still missing their best two players on defense, Warner and Bosa, but Bryce Huff is back. Their edge rusher, and they really need him as well because this team's really struggling to generate pressure. Lenore was added to the injury report. He's listed as questionable. So that's one we have to keep our eye on. And look, I mentioned the 49ers pass rush. We know they've really struggled to generate pressure. They might be able to generate some pressure in this one. I mean, the Cardinals on paper have been one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the NFL, and they just lost a starting offensive tackle. So it sounds crazy to say because the 49ers have been generating essentially zero pressure. They might be able to in this one, but at the same time, I don't know if we really count this Cardinals offense out. Since Jacoby Brissett took over at quarterback, they've been pretty damn efficient. 6 yards per play, over a 50% success rate. So I really, there's so many moving pieces in this one with the injuries. It would only be San Francisco for me, but honestly, 3.5, that feels like the right number to me. I probably would make it 4. So I guess lean towards San Francisco, but too many moving pieces in this one. I'm running out of time, so I got to speed it up. Ravens, Browns in Cleveland. I took Cleveland plus 7.5 in this one. Baltimore just 1-3 straight up in their last 3 trips to Cleveland. But 2 of those were without Lamar Jackson. We probably should mention Lamar Jackson is 1-1 straight up in his last 2 trips. He actually played well. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 115.8 passer rating in his last 2 trips to Cleveland. Baltimore seems to be back. They look very strong, and mostly the run game. In their last 4 games, 4.9 yards per carry, over 165 rushing yards per game. This is a huge sign if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. Here's why it could be a problem. They're going to Cleveland to see what is probably the best run defense in the NFL. Cleveland, second in success rate per rush, second in EPA per rush. On the road in Cleveland, it's supposed to be windy as hell, which might limit Lamar Fields. That could possibly limit Lamar Jackson in terms of throwing the ball downfield. We're talking 25-mile-an-hour winds. I'm not just talking like serious wind here on the road in Cleveland. Cleveland's defense so far this year is allowing less than 14 points per game, 4.9 yards per play. And I know this Baltimore run game looks great. We saw these 2 teams play already. This one was in Baltimore in week 2. The Ravens were held to 49 yards rushing. 2.7 yards per carry, 22.2% success rate per rush. Those are terrible rushing numbers back in week 2. Now they're going to go on the road in 25-mile-an-hour winds and possibly some rain and run the ball in this Cleveland defense. In that game, Baltimore ended up winning comfortably, and I had the Ravens, I think, minus 10.5 in the game, so I appreciated it. The Ravens only had 242 yards of offense in the game. The Ravens were gifted the ball inside the 10. They had a block punt return touchdown and a fumble return touchdown in the game. So the Ravens offense was not moving the ball on Cleveland in that game. And you add in now that they're on the road in Cleveland in nasty weather. Yeah, I think Baltimore's going to struggle to move the ball in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, let's not get it twisted. This is probably the worst offense in the NFL. I honestly think the Titans might have passed Cleveland. Cleveland, 32nd in success rate, 30th in EPA per play. Baltimore's defense playing much better than these numbers show. On the season, 23rd and 24th. Dylan Gabriel was sacked 6 times last week by the Jets. So even though the Ravens generate no pressure, they might be able to rack up some sacks in this one. What I'm expecting from Stefanski is an extremely conservative downhill offensive game plan. They're going to hand the ball off. I doubt we'll see Dylan Gabriel in many compromising situations. It's going to be very conservative. The strength of this Baltimore defense, the reason Baltimore's been playing well defensively is all those playmakers in the secondary, right? They have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. But in terms of their defensive line, it's still a weakness. Remember, they're missing 2-3 starters on that defensive line. And in a game where Cleveland's just going to generate some push, hand the ball off, and hope to grab 4 yards, it's going to be a nasty game, 25-mile-an-hour winds that's going to level the playing field. Baltimore's had problems on the road in Cleveland. Yeah, I took the plus 7.5. It's not something I particularly love, but it should be a nasty one. I did bet this, by the way. Kansas City is on the road in Denver, which is a place they have not covered in 5 years. You got to go back to 2020 to find the last time Kansas City covered a spread in Denver. So they've had some problems here. This matchup marquee on this side of the ball. Might be the best offense in the NFL against the best defense in the NFL. Chiefs offensively 3rd in success rate, 2nd in EPA per play. The Broncos 1st and 3rd. I mean, the Broncos have been absolutely lights out on this side of the ball. In their last 5 games, they're allowing just 4.7 yards per play, under 18 points per game. And look, Mahomes has looked good recently since getting Rashee Rice back. This Chiefs offense this seems to be clicking right now, but they've been playing a ton of home games. In fact, we have not seen, this is crazy, we have not seen Patrick Mahomes play a single good road game yet this year. Not one good road game. His best road game was Giants. They won 21-8 or something. That was his best road game, and he didn't even play that well in the game. In fact, Russell Wilson should have backdoored covered. Remember, that was the one where he threw the ball out of the end zone? He didn't even play that well in the game. That's also the last time the Chiefs won a road game, was back in September. They've lost back-to-back road games, one against Buffalo, one against Jacksonville. So I know the Chiefs stock is rising, and I know the market doesn't love Denver, but over a field goal on the road for a team that hasn't won a road game in 2 months and hasn't even played well on the road seems crazy to me. Denver's going to be running a lot of man coverage, and even without Patrick Surtain, I mean, Mahomes has a 91.5 passer rating this year against man coverage. Now, obviously, there's a chunk in there without Rashee Rice. Just 5.5 yards per pass attempt, though. I'm not sold on the Chiefs offense going into Denver or just moving the ball here. Now, on the other side of the ball, we know Denver isn't very good. 28th in success rate, 18th in EPA per play. Kansas City has had some problems throughout the year defending the run. Not that I'm necessarily expecting the Broncos to just run the ball on the Chiefs fluently, but I think they can move the chains a little bit. I think a huge part of this game, we're in Mile High. I'm getting the home team plus 4 points, and I believe I'm going to win the battle on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think Denver's getting downgraded too much here. This is still a team that hasn't lost in forever. Now they're going to lose a home game by margin, which is, by the way, going to be the biggest game played in this stadium in a decade. That place is going to be going nuts. They're 8-2 with a chance to kind of seal themselves at the top of the AFC West with a win over Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding me? That place is going to be a zoo. Yeah, I can't believe this is up at 4. I'm on Denver. I took the plus 4 here. Sunday Night Football, we got Detroit on the road in Philadelphia. I'm out of time, but I can play a clip. I talked about this one on the live show, so here it is. Yeah, this was I took 2 look-ahead lines before last week. I got the under here at 49.5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, awesome one. And then I'm big on the Titans, but I got plus 7.5. But I think the Titans might win.
You're a crazy bastard.
Nah, this is it's down to 5.5 now. Titans are winning that game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love laying points on the road with Davis Mills, but that Texans defense could turn over our buddy Cam Ward. But we'll see.
We will see. As far as this game, so the game that really stands out to me is the Baltimore game where Detroit went on the road to Baltimore. It was a Monday Night Football game, and it was the first time I noticed it. And I've since picked up on it, and I keep checking. It keeps staying true. So we've seen the Lions now play 3 of these big games, and what they were doing is running the most intentional slow pace ever. In that Ravens game, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone make it so blatant where Jared Goff, they would run the ball 6 yards, 2nd and 4. He was sitting there staring at the play clock, waiting for it to say 5 to start the cadence. As if Dan Campbell was like, you do not snap that ball until it says 1. So what that showed me was this Lions team is making it a point to move as slowly as possible. It's clear that in these road games, they want to control the clock. They want to hold on to the ball as long as possible. So I was checking it out, and the Lions significantly slower pace on the road this year. So here we are in another huge game against the Eagles. I feel like the game plan for the Lions from Dan Campbell, run the ball, hold on to the ball. And they're playing the Eagles, who are the kings of that. The Eagles are the kings of running super slow pace, running the ball. I just feel like the clock is never going to stop in this game. And I'm not even sure how much I trust the defenses to make stops. These are 2 really good offenses. It's more just the pace of the game. It's going to be tough to get up to 50 points with this slow of a football game. So, yeah, I'm big on this under. It's hard to argue with the Eagles at under a field goal. The Eagles just came through for me against – oh, yeah, we both had them, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll put Eagles up because under a field goal it would be Eagles, but
Come on, hop on, go Birds, baby. Link will be rocking.
You don't think what Dan Campbell did in Baltimore was a little impressive though? That was a really nice win, and I feel like this year's Lions team is a little bit more gritty.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this defense is going to be able to handle the Lions offense. You're going to see Jared Goff. I don't think is going to be able to handle the pressure this Eagles defense is going to bring. And they were getting home with 4. I know the Packers have some issues with their offensive line, but so do the Lions. I mean, you look at their practice report. These guys, Penei Sewell missed time. I think they all probably go, but I don't think they're going to be 100%. And you got to be with the way this Eagles with Jalen Phillips now, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and you have depth options in Jalix Hunt and Brandon Graham. Like this is, I think this defense has a chance to be better than last year's defense.
I was just talking. I like the Super Bowl champion defense might be back for Philadelphia for sure.
100%.
Thanks for watching. Let's have ourselves a great Sunday. Make sure you bet responsibly. I'll be in the Discord hanging all day.